Hello and welcome to my rewrite of My Little Pony: A New Generation. As a follow-up to my review and analysis, I thought it would be fun to go back through the film and see what I could do to improve it. I have three main issues with the movie. The characters seem blander than the main six did, Equestria wasn't as unique feeling, and there weren't any hints at what caused Equestria to change so much. Without making any drastic changes to the story, I want to add more personality and development to the characters, some flavor to the world, and hint at what will happen in the coming series. All in the hopes that by the end, I will have made the film make a bit more sense and be more compelling. And before I begin, I just want to add that in addition to the rewrite, I have about 20 minutes worth of stuff going into greater detail about what could be done to improve the characters individually, and the three main locations, which I'll probably release as a follow-up, so if you like this video, stay tuned for the next one. And now, for what you actually came here for. The movie starts off the same with the scenes of the main six and Sunny as a kid. The only difference is we see more of Argyle, his lab, and his research. Notably, we see protest signs, pamphlets, and posters he's made, including one saying, "Without friendship, there is no magic. With friendship, there is no magic to fear." Instead of playing upstairs, the kids play downstairs in the living room, and it's Argyle who is working at the top of the lighthouse. After the kids argue, Sunny takes them up to Argyle so she can tell them that she's right. Once Hitch and Sprout leave, he and Sunny go upstairs and do the unicorn playing thing in his lab with all the artifacts, and as they play, we get views hinting at the fall of Equestria through scraps of Argyle's research, including a note saying, "What was Emnida?" with 3 question marks, and beneath it, in parentheses, "Who?" And ponies used to have cutie marks on both flanks. Why only one now? Once it skips to modern day, Sunny's day starts about the same, but when she gets ready, in addition to her hair tie, she puts goggles around her neck. As Gonna Be My Day starts playing, she rollerblades to her stand in town, where we learn she isn't just a delivery mare. She has a business called Sunny Snacks, where she makes smoothies and pastries. She takes her delivery card, where inside she has adventuring and archaeology stuff like brushes, a magnifying glass, and a Polaroid camera. As she skates through town, Sunny puts stickers on advertisements for CannerLogic products and for the CannerLogic Expo set for next weekend. She passes Sprout and he waves, then his eyes widen and he jumps the trailer. Instead of going to the factory, she goes to the town's very edge, where Hitch is hiding behind the Welcome to Maritime Bay sign. Smaller text beneath that reads Earth Ponies Only. The fact that when the sign, which is old and worn, was erected, they specified Maritime Bay as an Earth Ponies Only settlement acknowledges that they know they have non-Earth ponies living nearby, and the town itself was made after the 3 tribes divided. Hitch surprises her, they have their little exchange, and he warns her not to leave town because she doesn't know what's out there and she could get hurt. But her being Sunny, she doesn't listen. In the woods, she goes poking around a few hollowed-out trees that seem like they were once houses, but are now so overgrown that it's hard to tell beyond the way they were laid out, with stairs and windows and shelves in the walls. Then there's a little bit of spookiness as something, or someone, is watching her from afar. While Sunny's looking for stuff, she's talking to herself out loud about ideas for how to protest the expo and or what to include in her speech that she'll give there. Then, after finding nothing, again, she slowly and glumly makes her way back to Maritime Bay to start selling her stuff. Back in town, she sourly opens up her stand and waits for customers, muttering, "Why do I bother? Nobody ever buys anything. From me." And behind her is a rack of freshly baked pastries shaped like all kinds of ponies, explaining why. Then she sees ponies running by outside, all freaked out. She cautiously but curiously steps out of her stand, and Izzy is right there. "Hi, new friend. My name's Izzy." Then she tries to buy a unicorn-inspired smoothie, but Sunny is too dumbstruck to talk for a moment. Then there's a chase scene through town and the scene at the lighthouse. After Izzy comments on how Earth ponies and unicorns look exactly alike, except for the horn, Sunny only says, "Whoa, hey," and not, "Watch where you point that thing." Instead, she asks, why did you come over to me in particular like that?" This makes Izzy kind of nervous and embarrassed, like she's afraid she'll upset Sunny. She tells her that she was on her way to Maritime Bay and spotted Sunny in the woods. Sheepishly, tapping her hooves together, she says she watched her from afar using some gadget she'd made and heard her talking about her speech. Sunny's talk about befriending unicorns made her feel comfortable enough to approach and ask her to be her friend. Izzy asks if that was okay, and Sunny says of course, and that she's happy to be her friend. Here, we see for the first time how Sunny's message of peace, acceptance, and unity can create a friendship. Then Sunny says she has some questions and takes out a notebook. She asks where unicorns live, if they live in trees, and instead of Sunny being a dweeb and flat out asking if they can shoot lasers or fry brains, she asks, "Is it true you lost your magic?" Then Izzy says, "Yep, but I can still do this," and does her beam thing. Instead of being shocked, Sunny says, "So my dad was right!" And then the fuzz shows up. After they've run away, Sunny asks again, "So you said you don't have magic?" And Izzy says that no, they don't, and that supposedly it was those feathery bastards that took it. But then Sunny says that if her dad was right about the unicorns not having magic, maybe he was right about the Pegasi not being able to fly, and she proposes that they go and find out. Instead of them being in the police station, Hitch and Sprout are investigating Sunny's house. There's crime scene tape around the beans. Hitch is respectfully and carefully searching for clues while Sprout lounges and idly flips through stuff. Sprout's generally careless, but he does pause when he sees something of Argyle's, which he gently, respectfully puts back to rights. When Sprout talks, he talks about protecting Maritime Bay and being beacons of strength and might to the fearful ponies, while Hitch is more concerned with tracking down and rescuing Sunny from the unicorn and figuring out if the unicorns have any designs on Maritime Bay. Here we see Sprout being lackadaisical at his job and more focused on power, influence, and defense against the outside world. Hitch shares that fear of the outside, but he's more concerned with protecting Sunny and solving the mystery. He fears that unicorns are coming and using mind control to whisk Earth ponies away, and he believes Sunny was the first and easiest target because she left town to explore unicorn ruins and was open to outsiders and therefore susceptible to their influence. So he goes off in pursuit, leaving Maritime Bay to Sprout, actually telling him to stay. Sprout wanted to follow and to help Sunny too. He even resisted Hitch telling him to stay, but barely. Hitch said that the town needs him in case of another unicorn, which he saw the sense of, and he felt good being told he was needed by others. The next scene is in the canyon where Sunny and Izzy first see Pegasi, except the Zip they run into is in a sort of disguise. She's surprised to see an Earth pony and unicorn, and that they both gave a friendly greeting, but before she can say anything, she hears the guards and glides off without a word. Then they cut to her using binoculars to watch the guards spot Sunny and Izzy. She gives the "this day just got a whole lot more interesting" line after lowering the binoculars and squinting in contemplation. When Pip first appears on the big screens during Sunny and Izzy's elevator ride, she isn't just an irritating influencer. She includes a positive message to help others, and when she promotes her concert, we learn it's for charity, not just a royal circle jerk. The charity is for farmers who have to work at the base of the mountain, and to help them fund a better lift up the mountainside to make hauling food safer and more efficient. During the elevator ride, both Sunny and Izzy are freaking out because there's so much technology they'd never seen before. More so Izzy because she's a tinkerer and because the unicorns are the least technologically advanced tribe. Instead of asking silly questions to the Pegasus guards in the elevator, they both ask about Pegasus technology and how it got so advanced, but they get no answer. Sunny also remarks how they haven't seen anyone flying, so her dad must have been right. Once in the throne room, Sunny and Izzy are dumbfounded when the royals fly down from the ceiling. Zip, when she's dressed like a royal, is so different from the Zip they saw in the canyon that they don't even recognize her. Pip, instead of being all ditzy, when she livestreams Sunny and Izzy, she gets angry after the queen takes her phone and says that the people deserve to know what's up and that it's wrong to hide things like this from them, since it's kind of a big deal. After their brief encounter in the throne room, Zip is driven to go meet Sunny and Izzy and hear about the outside world and the other pony kinds, having always wanted the freedom to go beyond Zephyr Heights. She pretends to be haughty and interrogates them about where they're from and why they're in Zephyr Heights. Once she hears their mission, she reveals that she was the Pegasus they met in the canyon, and they're both shocked that it's her, and at the abrupt change in her behavior. Izzy was nervous of her at first, but seeing her change from condescending and accusatory to friendly and inviting makes her relax. Also, note that Pip wouldn't be in the scene. Zip helps them escape and takes them to the balloon hangar, where they talk and they make their plans to steal the crown. In the hangar, Izzy spends most of her time investigating balloons and other broken flying machines, while Sunny bombards Zip with questions about Pegasus tech and about their abilities. After asking Zip a few too many questions about anatomy, Zip puts a hoof to her mouth and says, "Hey, we're more than wings. We're ponies too. And we can't actually fly. We've been faking it." This forces Sunny to reflect on how she actually looked at the other pony tribes. because she did spend an inordinate amount of time and attention on their external traits and not as much on who they are as people. I get that this could be a message about appreciating difference, and that's a good thing, sure. But if you only focus on what makes someone different and never on who they are as a person, you're still kind of a tool. Also, it works well with the revelation that they don't actually have magic. Back in Maritime Bay, Sprout's worrying about what to do without Hitch to guide him, showing how Sprout is just really unsure of himself. He's always had his mom to tell him what to do, and then he had the much more confident, self-assured Hitch to take the lead. But now without him, he's anxious. Then Phyllis shows up to point him in the direction she wants. Without the cooler head of Hitch to act as a counterbalance, she wants to milk the unicorn sighting to sell more products, and having the deputy be afraid would help do that. Instead of the crowd prompting Sprout to believe Maritime Bay is in danger, Phyllis drives him to that conclusion, to be worried and to encourage the townsponys to want to prepare to defend themselves in the hopes it'll make them want to buy more at the upcoming expo. She plays on his insecurity and desire for respect by giving him a means to exert control over others instead of being controlled himself, and she tells him that the town is looking to him to lead them. This seriously motivates him, because unlike the movie Sprout, my Sprout wouldn't be an incompetent coward. The only reason he didn't go with Hitch was because he was told to stay, and his laziness is merely his unwillingness to do anything unless he's told, because he doesn't want to do something wrong. Being granted the authority to act on his own, and being told people want him to, gives him major motivation and confidence, and this sets him up for his later power trip. He's new to being a leader, so he doesn't have restraint, and he lets the power go to his head without realizing. Next, we see Hitch approaching Zephyr Heights, and then the heist planning sequence and the heist itself. Zip's street smarts explains how she can safely sneak them around the city while they gather supplies by using secret paths through alleys, sewers, and over rooftops. There's nothing I'd change about the heist itself, however I would change a bit about the exchange between Queen Haven and Zip. Their conversation still starts with Queen Haven saying, "I hear you paid our guests a visit," and Zip answers, "Pip told you?" And here's the change. Queen Haven says, "Oh, you know she tells me everything. She said you told her you were going to talk to them, even though you know you're not supposed to. Did you honestly think I wouldn't find out? It's unfitting for a princess, let alone a future queen, to be seen in the dungeons or to talk to prisoners. That's what the castle guard are for." Zip replies, "I know, but I learned something important. They might have a way to bring her flight back. That's why they came." This is somewhat of a lie, but I think it better reflects Zip's guarded nature and distrust of her mom. Instead of running into the city when their cover's blown, Zip takes them to her secret hangar since she thinks she's the only one who knows about it. She says that there's no safe way through and out of the city when the guards are on high alert, and that she knows from experience, and says that they'll need to lay low before they can leave. Then, they realize they lost a crystal, and Pip shows up with it. It turns out she knew of Zip's hideout all along, which makes far more sense than her magically knowing which alley they all hid in. After seeing that the Queen was arrested on Pip's phone, and that there's a warrant out for the princess's arrest, they all start to panic, because they have no idea how to get away. Zip asks if Pip told Queen Haven about the hangar, and Pip says no, she wouldn't betray her privacy on such a level, knowing how important it was for her to come here and glide. Then Zip asks, if so, why did she tell Queen Haven she was going to the dungeon? And Pip says that it's because she thinks she shouldn't, because she's a princess. They need to stay aloof and above so they can be dignified if they're ever going to be respected enough to achieve anything. Zip just rolls her eyes and scoffs, and tells Pip to get off her high horse, and says, "Yeah, well, you've been staying aloof up in the castle. I've actually been out and helping ponies, and learning about their problems from them, instead of waiting for the staff to ponder and deliberate, and assess if their letters are worth our precious royal time. Do you even know how long the farmers have been wanting an improved lift?" Pip shoots back, "No, I don't, but at least I can actually raise the bits to give it to them, instead of sneaking off with a bag at a time." Hitch breaks them up and asks if the hangar would be on any maps of the castle, and how likely the guards are to know about it and to come looking for them. Neither know, and everyone starts to freak out some more. This is when they start to argue like they did at the flower fields and the broken bridge, hurling accusations and so on. Hitch is pissed about having to break laws and work against the royal guards, who are effectively his brothers in arms. Then Pip calls him a hypocrite for illegally crashing a concert, and he defends himself by saying he was just trying to protect Sunny. Pip says that means he was trying to protect a thief, and he's taken aback. Instead of pecking a tree down, Izzy makes a flying machine with a few propellers, a balloon, and half a fuselage, or some other contraption. I'm not a cartoon engineer, I don't know. Just as comedically quickly to show off what a good tinker she is. With no other choice, they fly to Bridalwood. Then we cut to Darth Sprout, having fully taken over the Cannon Logic factory, and he's out of his mom's control. She's all freaked out, and the scene is basically the same, except Phyllis is less concerned about the town and more upset Sprout isn't doing what she wants. As they fly along, the two Pegasi are complimenting Izzy's quick thinking and ability to get the contraption airborne, saying how fun it is to actually be in the sky for once. Zip, Sunny, and Izzy are all around a heating lantern, and Pip, who hasn't even glided before, is sticking her head off to the side like a dog and enjoying herself. Hitch, who's still a grumpy bigot, is sulking in the back. Here he realizes he lost his badge, and Izzy says he shot on the ground in the hangar, and now that she has 3 new friends who like her, has the confidence to quip at him about the unhealthy power dynamic it created. This, because of her past of being bullied and having little confidence, is a big step. Hitch and her haven't spoken much beyond him trying to capture her in Maritime Bay, and they aren't on friendly terms yet. But then Sunny and Zip invite him to come over with them, and then the campfire scene, the best scene, happens. Once they land on the edge of the forest, on their way to Izzy's cottage, 2 unicorns come down the road and everyone has to hide except Izzy. We see a short confrontation where they laugh at her, and Izzy hangs her head. These are the 2 bullies from the concept art. In Izzy's cottage, they learn the true extent of her tinkering abilities, and there's a scene where she brings out the folding leaf table. She says she's never got to use it with friends, and everyone admires it, but Sunny says they don't have time for tea. Here, Hitch actually stops Sunny, showing how much he's warmed up to Izzy, who beams at him, and that he's the most logical/tactical of the group. He says that they do have time for tea because they need to stop, rest, and plan, and to learn more about Bridalwood before they go into town, saying he doesn't want a repeat of Zephyr Heights. While they sit and drink, Izzy tells him about unicorn superstitions in a much more logical way than having them say every jinxed word in front of the unicorns. Also, instead of saying them herself, she writes them down. I mean, she bought into their racist ideas, so why wouldn't she be superstitious too? Hitch also asks about the 2 unicorns on the road, and they turn out to be Alphabetal's twin daughters, Jim and Jive. We learn that it was because of them and their bullying that Izzy decided to go to Maritime Bay despite being told how nasty Earth ponies were all her life, because she thought she'd fit in better there. And despite the lantern saying she had friends, when she saw that Sunny was normal, she was scared to approach her because she thought that since she wasn't much different from the unicorns, that she wouldn't like her. Until she heard Sunny practicing her speech, that is. Sunny asks Izzy about the unicorn crystal, and she says Alphabetal recently won a crystal that looks like it in a game, explaining he's a bit of a gambler. Sunny suggests they try and steal it like what they did with the Pegasus crystal, saying that's justified because it's so they can bring magic back. But Hitch refuses to be dishonest and to break the law. He suggests that they just play him for it and win it fair and square. But Izzy says that the challenge is super hard. He asks what it is, and Izzy explains that it's an unnamed, unbranded, totally innocuous puzzle cube. Sunny says doing it will be super easy because she found a cube like it in an old ruin she explored and beat it right away. Confident she'll win, she reminds him that they still need a way inside. Then Zip suggests disguises. During the song, Hitch expresses his doubt in using disguises since his totally failed in Zephyr Heights. Instead of saying, "It's never gonna work," he says, "It didn't work for me." But Zip reassures him, and she and Izzy take the lead in making great disguises. Brimming with newfound confidence and reassured by her friend standing behind her, Izzy goes into the tea room and isn't spooked off by Jim and Jive loitering at the door. Supported by her friends, she can stand up to them. Then Sunny, with the help of Pip's charisma, gets Alphabetal to bet his crystal, and when he pulls the ultimate challenge out on her, it's Pip's charm that gets him to lower the stakes so Sunny only has to win 1 round. Then her sideline coaching helps Sunny get into a groove so she can beat him. Then Sunny's enthusiasm when she celebrates makes her mess up her disguise and they have to run out of town. Once back in the meadows, prairies, whatever, on their way back to Izzy's flying machine, they run into Queen Haven and Cloudpuff. And because they stopped each other, the Royal Guards and the Unicorns can catch up. It turns out Cloudpuff is an excellent tracker, and it was Hitch's badge that gave him the scent to follow. Since he's a flying dog, his nose can still pick up the scent even though it's in the sky. And then the first crystal joining happens. Since everyone is so antagonistic, not to mention the Earth ponies aren't present, it doesn't work. Aside from being set in Bridalwood, which doesn't make sense if the Pegasi are going to show up, that scene was pretty good. At the very end, when Sunny walks away all dejected, Zip and Pip share a look and Izzy hangs her head. The scene is a pretty effective emotional gut punch, but it would hit 10 times harder if Izzy sat down, and as the camera panned away, her shoulders started to shake like she was crying, and if Pip put her wing over Zip in a hug. Their whole escapade was because of Zip, not her. and she was actually pretty screwed over by it. So her comforting Zip would say a lot about her character and compassion for others, as well as develop their relationship as siblings. One of the benefits of 3D is getting subtle details like shaking shoulders into the animation, so I think this is the perfect place to use it. And now that I think about it, the fact that none of the characters even shed a tear during this whole slump section just feels weird. In the scene of Sunny returning to the lighthouse, I would have her pick up the picture of her and her dad by the door, and then the little carousel thing her dad made, which I would also have be a music box too that Sunny listens to whenever she's feeling sad, and then takes them up to the lab with her while she looks over her research again. The fact that, even after everything that just happened, she would still keep looking for answers would truly show her conviction and determination to reunite the three tribes. She speaks to her dad saying, "I was so close. I thought I knew what to do. I even made friends with Pegasi and a unicorn." Then she chokes up and drops the carousel as she sobs. The Earth Pony crystal falls out onto the platform in the center of the room, lighting it up with reflected multicolored sparkles. And then everything clicks. She runs to tell Hitch, and then they find Sprout's army. The only thing I would change here is Phyllis's role, from trying to stop Sprout because he went too far to trying to stop him so she can control him, just like I have in every other scene with the two. The final confrontation when Sunny's friends all come running, and then the other unicorns and Pegasi do too, and then they face Sprouticus Maximus at the lighthouse, I think works great. However, Pip would devote herself to talking the Pegasus Royal Guards out of getting involved so they don't escalate things or antagonize the Earth Ponies. But she'd fail because Queen Haven would charge right ahead. And once Hitch and Zip fail to disable the Splatipult on Sprout's mech, they should try and take out its ammunition. It seems like nobody but Sunny and Izzy actually accomplished anything in the scene. Pip didn't need to be in the lighthouse, nor did she do anything when she was there. And after they send the Splatipult's arm flying, Hitch and Zip shouldn't have given up. Sprout rammed the lighthouse anyway, so stopping the remaining Splatipult from loading would have actually been an effective and achievable goal that would have given them something to do without changing the outcome of the scene. Same with Pip doing what she does best, using her charisma to try and get people to do something. And it would make sense that she wouldn't have any influence over Queen Haven, and that the guards would do what the Queen does. At the climax, when he destroys the lighthouse and Sunny gives her speech, Sprout would snap out of his power trip when he sees the devastation he caused, and the fact that no one is fighting. Instead of him skulking while Phyllis comes forward to fix Sunny's picture frame, he would join Queen Haven and Alphabettle to fix his mistakes. It would be the first time he acts entirely of his own accord, and to do something positive, no less. This would be a mild redemption, setting up a greater redemption arc for him during the series by showing deep down there is good in him. I don't think it's fair for one of Sunny and Hitch's childhood friends to be written off as just a bad guy idiot, because there had to be some redeeming qualities there to make Hitch stay with him for so long. Plus, I don't think it's in the My Little Pony spirit to leave a minor villain like Sprout unredeemed, but it also fits well with the recurring motif of showing how children are influenced by propaganda throughout the movie. Sprout is the end result of being raised on propaganda, and him finally breaking free of that because of Sunny would really bring the movie around full circle. Having the pony who spread propaganda and brainwashed her child be redeemed instead feels wrong. They play him off like he's some kind of dim-witted maniac, but it's Phyllis who made him into that. When Sunny has her magical girl transformation with the ghost alicorn wings and horn, and there's the flaccid sonic rainboom, I think it would have been epic if her eyes glowed and she was possessed by Twilight Sparkle, and Twilight gave a short, cryptic speech about friendship bringing magic to Equestria that would hint at the plot of the future show. Long ago, I was shut away from other ponies like you have isolated yourselves from each other, but I discovered the magic of friendship and dedicated my life to helping others discover it as well. And now it's time for you to make your mark on Equestria, to restore the magic of friendship for a new generation, and to rebuild our nation. But for now, celebrate and make some friends. After this, when Sunny floats back down, her alicorn wings and horn fly off and form into a small box. The movie would end the same way, with a celebration in Maritime Bay, as the Pegasi are learning to get themselves off the ground, and the unicorns are trying to do magic. Since both skills are learned over time, having them do it right away is just unrealistic. Things shouldn't get back to what they were before right away, because it makes those accomplishments feel empty, and they would be a great reward for later in the series. Sunny and the rest are sitting outside her cart, eating unicorn cupcakes and drinking Pegasi smoothies. Then Sunny sets the box on the table and says, "Finally, now we can talk." Hitch adds, "And get some answers." Izzy asks, "Whose voice was that?" And Sunny says, "I think it was Twilight Sparkle, the Princess of Friendship." Then, the core of the sonic rainboom floats down and reforms the crystals on the top of the box, which starts to glow, and it turns into a book with the symbol of the crystals on the front cover. Then, the movie ends. Now, going ahead, I would have the series open up with that book, like Friendship is Magic did. This book is the story of Twilight Sparkle, and then explains how the three pony tribes split apart. Long ago, in the magical land of Equestria, I discovered the magic of friendship. My friends and I showed Equestria and beyond how to live in harmony. Together, we ushered in a golden age of unity, not just between ponies, but between all creatures. Because of my accomplishments with the help of my friends, I was made Princess of Friendship, and eventually, of all Equestria. As time passed, and my friends with it, I remained on the throne. For 500 years, ponies under my rule lived in peace, and grew complacent, so when a threat did arrive, they had no idea how to face it. That threat came from within. A pony named Emnida believed that unicorns, Pegasi, and earth ponies should live apart as their own tribes, as they did before the founding of Equestria. She and her followers spread lies and turned ponies against one another, and by the time I discovered her plan, it was too late. The rift between the three pony kinds had already been created, and the Wendigos returned to feed off the hatred and bury Equestria under ice and snow. Powerless to stop the fighting, I used a spell to take the magic from earth ponies, unicorns, and Pegasi, so they couldn't use it against one another, sealing it in 3 crystals, and poured all of my own alicorn magic into banishing the Wendigos to limbo once and for all. The crystal spell can only be broken when friends of all 3 pony kinds work in harmony as my friends and I once did. And with that spell I've bound this journal, as well as the message you have already heard, containing the lessons my friends and I learned in the hopes they will serve you well in your journeys together. And that's the end. While it is a little bit scruffy and it could probably use a bit of polishing, I think my reworking of A New Generation does more justice to the characters and setting, and I think it creates a better base for Make Your Mark too. But that's just my thoughts. Regardless, I still enjoyed the film as it is, and I'm excited to see what Gen 5 has in store for us. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, and subscribe if you like my other stuff too. Feel free to comment down below and share any ideas you have about what would make the movie and its characters more compelling, or what direction you think the series is going to take them in. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Oh, please, for the love of God, get rid of that stupid streak in Sunny's hair. It looks like sherbet. With friendship, there is no magic to fear. Ah, son of a bitch. Then, after finding nothing, again, she slowly and glumly makes her way back to Maritime Bay to start smelling